Abuja.
Hello and welcome to X-Ray. It's a beautiful Friday, and like they always say, thank God it's Friday. Although for us, we'll still work until Sunday. But it's a great honor being on the program once again. Thank you for being part of the program on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. Today on the program, we will X-ray burning issues in and across Nigeria and beyond. My name is Peter. And with me to look at these issues, I have Barrister Idris Bawa.
Good morning, Peter. Good morning, Nigerians.
I also have Oikeke Igado.
Good morning.
Harry Spice manages to join us today. It's good to have you on the program.
Good morning. Life is all about management.
All right, so we'll begin with a story that says Senate may reject Governor's Paris Club refund request. The Senate will on Tuesday deliberate on the bailout and Paris Club loan refund approved by the federal government to the state governments. This follows a point of order raised by Senator Samuel Anyanwu at the plenary on Thursday. The upper legislative chamber has announced its readiness to debate governor's request for another tranche of the Paris Club refund from the federal government. This follows a point of order, like we've raised, by Senator Samuel Anyanwu at the plenary on Thursday. The senator who represents Imo East Senatorial District expressed concerns over governor's continued request for the funds. He wondered that the Paris Club refunds to governors were never budgeted for, citing that President Buhari might be offering those funds illegally. Anyanwu also pointed that President Buhari scolded those governors that owed state workers' salaries for months, despite the Paris Club refunds in the past. Reacting, Senate President Bukola Saraki directed that the subject be brought in form of a motion at a further date to enable the lawmakers' debate on it. The Paris Club refunds had been released by Buhari-led administration 3 times now for payment of state worker salaries, with governors canvassing for more. Unfortunately, states like Kogi, Ekiti, and others have been locked in industrial crisis for non-payment of salaries despite federal government's intervention. And yesterday on the program, we raised a similar issue. We remember talking about the Bauchi state governor who mentioned that it was the right of the state governors to receive those monies, and it was not in any way. But now we've seen the intervention of the Senate. It appears the Senate is quite interested in this case. Quite also a controversial case, if you ask me. But let me ask you. Let's start with Oikeke.
The issue of the Paris refund and the bailout funds have generated lots of controversies, especially because of the allegations that these funds, most part of these funds are mismanaged or allegedly taken by the governors, and especially because a lot of the reasons for which these funds were released did not seem to have been met, because the salaries, governors continued to own months of these salaries of workers. So Nigerians have not been very comfortable, especially because they are even now asking for more, because the ones that were given, salaries are still being owned. So it's a good thing. The president had a meeting with them the other time, because he said, how can we continue like this? Monies were given for payment of salaries. These bailouts are meant for that purpose, but people are still being owned salaries. The president was not happy about it. He had a meeting with them. Now it's good to see that even the senators, the legislators are up, for the same thing. So I encourage, and we encourage the legislators, Nigerians all together should come up and ensure that these kind of things stop. And especially because they're asking for more. Let's be able to know that the ones that were given to them were used judiciously, like we keep saying here. So if we cannot account for the ones that were given, So how can we now begin to approve that others be given? So it's a good thing that the Senate and probably the House of Representatives advise them to join in the issue. I mean, in the call for that kind of probe, so that we begin to see the end of some of these impunities, especially as it has to do with our state governments or state governors, as it has to do again with mismanagement of funds that has left a lot of our people in abject poverty, pain, agony, and penury.
I think also the Senate is trying to emphasize whether these funds are released by the president legally or not.
Yes.
Harry Spice.
Yes, to end the impunity manifested by these governors, as well as the captain, who the person I call the president.
You call it impunity?
It is what I call flagrant impunity, because you take what belongs to the common man, to every Nigerian citizen, and you keep it to yourself. You misappropriate. You do not give account of how you utilize this fund. It is the sheer level of impunity that will be manifested by any right-thinking member of the society. And this coming from our governors, people we elected and entrusted mandates to begin to play this kind of rascality. I'm very sorry. This is unacceptable. For the first time, I'm thrilled and marveled and very impressed by the actions of the Senate. This is what democracy entails. Watching over each other. Checkmating the excesses of each other. What the Senate has done is what is ideal in every democracy in the world. I applaud the Senate for coming up timely to put a halt to this impunity. I think the Senate should extend it further by inviting the President to the National Assembly to explain, what led to these releases in the first place. The governors made appeal that they could not pay salaries inherited from the previous government, and the President, in his own, in his own street, decided to source out for fund by releasing these monies for workers' salaries to be paid. Unfortunately, instead of paying salaries, these governors decided to keep this money for themselves. Questions must be asked and right answers must be provided on the utilization of these funds.
You seem not to agree. Do you agree with his position? Should we commend the Nigerian Senate?
Oh, no. Of course, for the first time ever, just like he said, I agree with him totally. That we should commend the Senate for what they've done and what they are trying to do. For him to say that, yes, first and foremost, I think there's no law, as far as I know, that gives the president the mandate to release such fund, because the National Assembly ought to, appropriate accordingly and even give that legislative backing before money could be released. And for the Senate to wake up now and say we want to put a stop to this, I think is most commendable. But
is that fair to the governors? It's the money that is being refunded to the government. The governors contributed that money. It's their money, isn't
how
it?
Did they contribute?
That's why it's a refund.
Let me tell you, Peter, every state ought to be by itself, sources for money by itself, to develop itself and all of that. Here we have states, don't forget, they came asking for, and the president graciously gave them. They've not accounted for that money, and yet they are coming back asking for more.
Including those that have not paid salaries.
And what was the money released? What was this money meant for? It was to pay salaries, and yet the salaries not paid. So what have they done with the money? They need to account for that money. And it's not just about like my colleague Harris said, that the Senate should invite the president to the Harlow chamber to come and explain. I don't think there's need for that. The people you should call, the money has been released. Call each of the governors. Let them appear before you to tell us what they've done with the money that was released.
Do you think the governors will agree to come and stand in front of the Senate and explain anything?
You see, that is where this problem of check and balances that we are talking about comes into play. When people they seem to have that lords unto themselves, impunity, doing what they like. That is where we have problem. So the issue is, let us look at the constitutional provision. Let that immunity clause be removed completely. The only person that should have immunity, as far as I know, should be the president, not nobody else. Because he's the president and he should be protected. But the governors strip them of that immunity. When they are doing what is not too good, we should have process of even recalling them, from not impeachment, recalling them, because as we speak, they bought even the state assemblies.
Yes.
So it's difficult.
Yeah, the interface, typically it's the National Assembly interface with the president or the presidency, as the case may be, while the state of House of Assembly interfaces with the governors. So it will be another kind of breach of constitutional provision, inviting the governors to the hallowed chambers of the National Assembly. That is an aberration. So what we should be thinking about now is how we can actually begin to review this constitution that made it so, compatible for the elites. We have a situation where there are so many protection for the governors, so much protection for the president, that when the president or when the governor speaks, you think an emperor is speaking. At the state level, they've been, they've pocketed their state House of Assembly to the extent that they cannot do anything until we begin to advocate for review in our constitution, where the powers of these governors will be whittled down a little so that they become accountable for people. To the people. And it's good that our advocacy is beginning to work. Yesterday we spent almost 1 hour talking about this Pirate Club reform, and I'm glad that the National Assembly has intervened and an order has been given that these monies must be probed. To do the probing, they have their instruments. They must not be invited directly to speak to them. There are apparatus or agencies that exist to manage this kind of situation. The EFCC should come in. The ICPC should come in. Other relevant, related agencies responsible for accountability should also begin to ask questions. We can't all sit down and expect the president to. I agree with you. Yesterday we argued passionately, but on the second thought, the president cannot be everywhere, and the president cannot do all things. The constituted authorities given responsibilities to see to the running of affairs of this country must begin to wake up. We don't have to wait for the National Assembly to even begin to query these funds when the EFCC exists. We're not saying you should go and arrest the governor or clamp him down, but you can engage him in a conversation.
They can investigate, actually.
You can even investigate. What the only immunity they have is that they cannot be arrested.
So you investigate, you find out the facts, and then you wait for them to leave office in 2-3 years.
Yes.
When you begin to prolong judgment or verdict, the rot in the society continues. You don't have to wait to arrest. The governor is just an individual. We're talking about
makers. You hardly hear anything.
Likewise, the local government chairman.
Yes, they're like being pocketed by the governors. And I wonder if they have the willpower and even the strength to challenge their governors. They're like puppets in their hands. So we need to strengthen these institutions to ensure that these people can come up and begin to ask their governors questions. But I think what happens is they just sit there and whatever the governor says is what happens. If not, I think they have the responsibility to question and even bring to book. Begin to question and probe, and even decide to, if you don't do well, we have the powers to remove you from there. But I don't see our state assembly members doing much.
Okay, let's do a quick analysis, a very simple one, a street analysis. The governors have the monthly allocations, don't they?
They do.
Of course.
Okay, I've just been told that we need to take a break. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll do our quick analysis and see where this will take us to. Stay with Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. This is X-Ray.
As a business owner, you may ask yourself for a reason why to advertise with Human Rights Radio. Well, I'll give you 5. 1. We operate a 24-hour Facebook TV that accommodates all our programs and with over 50,000 views per program. 2. All around the world, millions of people tune into our station live on our Human Rights Radio app, available on Android and iOS. 3. We are employing over 2,000 conversers ready to attend to all your advertising needs. 4. With our very affordable rates, you are guaranteed the best value for your money. 5. We go beyond radio and can be found on all other social media platforms, including Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Periscope, proving that while other stations enjoy listenership, we enjoy followership. So if you're still asking yourself for a reason why to advertise with Human Rights Radio, I believe the right question is, why haven't you already? Welcome to Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM, redefining broadcasting. At Human Rights Radio, we pride ourselves in being sensitive to all your business needs. That is why we go further to bring you, our clients, closer to us. Human Rights Radio is proud to announce that our advert cards are ready for both wholesale and retail marketers. As an added bonus, we are offering a 20% discount to all wholesale buyers of our advert cards. Hurry now to Human Rights Radio, located at plot 1184 Kaura District, besides Games Village, FCT Abuja, and take advantage of this unique business opportunity. Human Rights Radio, redefining broadcasting. As the fourth estate of the realm, the media stands as the watchman of the nation. On Media Lab, we dissect the news items of the day through the men and women that bring the news to you to give you the full story. Media Lab, airing exclusively on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM, redefining broadcasting.
Welcome back to X-Ray on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. On X-Ray, we take a closer look at the latest developments and trending topical issues making the rounds across Nigeria and beyond. We started off with a story, I think I fast-forwarded sort of. We started off by looking at the Senate saying they may reject the Governor's Paris Club refund request. Let's clear something. Where does the money for the Paris Club refund comes from? Let's start with Barrister Idris before we take a look at our quick analysis.
Yeah, from my understanding, the Paris Club refund are monies that were either stolen, stashed in foreign accounts, which the government is trying to retrieve back to the country. They are not actually contribution by states or anything. I think before now we used to have something called a Commonwealth Fund, which the state and the federal government could contribute some amount of money.
Apart from the Sovereign Wealth Fund?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the Sovereign Wealth Fund.
But this is quite different. It's money returned to the Nigerian government.
But it's national wealth, so it's assumed that every governor
is a
national stakeholder.
Wealth, it's not for them to be. It's not something that they could access at their whims and
but the way they are making this look is as if it is money that they contributed. And it's their own money.
No, you see, that is where this issue of appropriation comes into play. And that is why the Senate, I think, is taking this very seriously. Because money needs to be appropriated before you can say you want to allocate and start spending. Here we are, monies that were not allocated in the budget were released as bailout fund. Bailout, we call it. It's just like the doctrine of necessity, if you ask me. Just to cushion the effect. Because the bus stop, again, I will agree with Harris Pai, the bus stop ends at that, the doorstop of the president. So he, trying to see that he cushioned the economic effect of all the states, decided to give up bailout fund to state government for them to do certain things, just two things, pay workers' salaries as well as pension of retirees.
Now let's quickly look at the analysis we wanted to run. The governors have various means of getting money in their states. First, there's the budget. Second, there's the monthly allocation. Third, there's the Paris Club refund.
Paris Club refund is not...
no, we're just saying at least they have this one coming. They've collected how many tranches? So let's go back to another one, internally generated revenue.
Which is part of the budget.
Exactly.
Anyway.
And what again?
I don't know the value.
They also take loans.
Yes, and there are loans from the like the agri development banks.
Yes.
There are also so many other kinds of loans actually, and partnerships, public-private partnerships.
Yes, PPA.
The PPPA. You know, is that PPP projects? Yeah. So now let's again look at this. You have all these sources. How is it that the salaries are so difficult? How many workers do we have averagely in a state?
Peter, you see, let's even look at one aspect of the budget, security fund. What are they securing? That today, kidnapping is everywhere. Fulani herdsmen are killing everywhere. We're having herdsmen, herdsmen are killing everywhere. And again, we are talking about kidnapping, all kinds of vices all around. And they have security vote. What are they using that money for? If you look at our budget, it's sad that I keep repeating that again. If you look at our budget, like 2016 budget, there will be a line that says furniture for XYZ office. In 2017, there's still the same budget line, furniture for the same office. Are we changing furnitures every day? You see, when you want to really analyze budget, I think the thing is, every state government should publish their budget, monies released, what they expended that money for there should be a monthly kind of audit report to the general public so that we know what they are spending this money for. And next year, when they are doing another budget, we should check the budget of the previous year and see whether things have changed or they are still the same thing. Because what we do here in this part of the world is just the same line of budget, just increasing the amount of money. That's all. So in the real sense of it, we are not even doing a proper budget. So it's sad that when we are talking about please.
It's actually
well, but this again takes us to the next topic of discussion: how 30 girls were raped in Yobe IDP camp. Presidential Committee on the Northeast Initiative (PCNI). The Presidential Committee on the Northeast Initiative has raised an alarm over the increasing cases of rape and attacks on displaced persons in camps across the Northeast. It noted that about 30 girls were raped in the internally displaced persons camps in Yobe State in September 2017, adding that the attacks on women and girls had worsened in that month, and this has increased the spread of human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, in the camps. Oikeke has grabbed the mic, and I think she's really taking this a lot more personal.
The issue of rape has become something else. I was reading a report this morning that got me almost crying. A 50-year-old man raped a 3-year-old girl to death in Katsina State.
I think we should use the word murder the 3-year-old.
Yes, and I don't understand. I know IDP camps are where people are supposed to have refuge. You run from your home because you cannot stay there because of insecurity, and then where you're supposed to be secured is where you are more exposed to danger. So I don't know. I think the security even in IDP camps are quite porous. We need to tighten up the security. I'm sure we have security personnel everywhere in the camps. I think that's how it's supposed to be. So at what point are these women and girls being raped and nobody knew about them? Who is perpetrating this rapes? Who is it? The people that are supposed to protect them, or is it them themselves that are rising against each other? So I think there's a need to really investigate and ensure that severe punishment is meted out on anyone that is found guilty. It's unfortunate that where should be your haven for the moment is where, or those that are supposed to protect you are the ones that are looking for you to destroy you. And then we have cases of other cases coming up as a result of this HIV, like you said, sexually transmitted diseases.
trauma.
And all kinds of trauma, depression, all kinds of things are coming up, and unwanted pregnancies. So this is a chain of issues and problems that we are seeing coming up. So apart from the rape, issues of HIV and AIDS increasing, the risk of it, unwanted pregnancies, and probably illegal abortions, all these things will come up. And by the end of the day, we can no longer guarantee that the women and children, even men in the camps, are not safe.
You know, this when governance breaks down, you know, when there's a breakdown in governance, you have this kind of issues, uncoordinated, uncontrolled tragedies and emergency. You know, the PC NI that did this report, I'm sure. Let me I may beg to say that this is somehow a hasty report, because they should have told us raped by who. You know, because the IDPs we're talking about are under the control of certain organizations, talking about the army, the police, the NEMA, you know, even some NGOs. So if you're bringing out this kind of report, you should tell us, you should give us full details of your report. So the question we should ask is, by who? Who raped these people? Were they raped by their, fellow internally displaced persons, or by security agencies, or by the dreaded Boko Haram guys? These are questions we need to ask. Generally, it's condemnable. It's not just at the IDP camp. Rape has become rampant in homes, on the streets. Just yesterday, there was a report of how a lady from Apple Junction to Apple Bridge was raped in less than 10. Even on our flagship program this morning, Akaramokala reported it. A lady was raped in less than 10 minutes. She left her office. This is happening right in our homes, right in the city of FCT. And it's even pathetic that it's also happening at the IDP camp. Who are those responsible for securing these places? I was in Bama sometimes in January. I saw the porous nature of the camps. The Bama camp or the Mina camp in Maiduguri, it's not fenced. It's an open field, you know, where people could walk in anytime and any things will happen. And in most cases, this rape we talk about, in fact, because of the condition on the camp, you see women, young girls begging for sex because they have the sex and they are begging for food. So whoever approaches them for whatever reason, they cave in. These are things, there are so many rights abuses going on in the camp, especially in the Northeast. These are things we should begin to ask. What are the security agencies doing? What about our intelligence department? What are they doing? It is when things happen like this that we all rush to the media and begin to talk. Meanwhile, the fundamental questions are not being asked. The PCNI, they are not just an intervention body. They are supposed to be, you know, checkmating the activities of NEMA, activities of NGO, you know, activities of donor agencies, activities of security agencies, to understand what is actually happening. Let's not wait until a tragedy happens before we come on air and begin to talk about them.
But Sir Idris is short of words, obviously. He doesn't like to hear things like this.
No, the thing is, our laws are kind of humane. When they say somebody who rapes and the person is found guilty should sent to life imprisonment and all of that. Defilement is a lesser crime, even as it comes to rape. Defilement of that, like the story of a 3 years old girl that was killed, that is called defilement, is not rape, and it's even a lesser offense when you want to look at it from the general outlook. It might be wrong, because I'm a lawyer. We don't tend to look at the other side of the divide. That's what the victim actually goes through. Any child, any woman who has been raped will never be the same again in her life. For people to go out of that trauma, it takes a whole lot. My colleague, thank God, he raised certain pertinent questions that needed to be asked and answered. Who are those who committed this act of rape? What has happened to them? Have we tried them in court and all of that? You know, all of these are. Then the victims, What are those machineries that has been put in place to take them out of that trauma which they are currently facing? Because it's a life-threatening issue that some can even go and commit suicide. It's sad.
Are you going to battle with the crisis, or you're going to battle with abuse or lack of food and water?
No, like he said, in the camps, we've had stories where actually people beg. Women sell their daughters for food. Say, have my daughter sleep with her and give us food. So it's sad. When I was talking about security vote now, in quote, these are some of the things that really are not right. If you are talking of security vote, the camp we are talking about, how many people are there? Have we identified who these people are, classified them, where are they from, the places where they are from? Have are things going on well in those areas? How do we locate them back to their places so that they can start a normal life? These are things that we need to process and all of that. We are not doing that. So it's sad that we are talking about some of the stories. I, for one, I say it. God forbid. It's the worst you can do to any human being. Issue of rape, honestly speaking.
Well, very quickly to one last thing before we go, just because it's related to some of the things we've talked about, because if there's not enough money to go around and there are no jobs around and there's crisis, you definitely will see this topic coming back over and over again.
Definitely.
36,000 Nigerians flee to Europe by sea, says the federal government. The federal government of Nigeria, through the National commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, NCFRMI, on Thursday said 200,346 Nigerians fled the country in 2016 and were granted refugee status in neighboring countries, while about 36,000 others arrived in Europe by sea. The Federal Commissioner of NCFRMI, Sadia Farouk, who stated this at a consultative forum on Global Compact for Safe, Orderly and Regular Migration in Lagos on Thursday, said the 36,000 migrants, according to the Italian Ministry of Interior, accounted for 21% of the total 171,299 immigrants who arrived in Europe by sea.
Those are the ones they know that arrived, and have they accounted for the one that died on along the desert?
It's not stated here.
No, when we are talking about statistics, they just come out and give us figures as if they know the exact number. It is not true. It is high. It is far more than that. When you look at the number of persons that die across border, Libya and all of that, it's amazing. I've seen documentaries that will even beat your imagination, that even before in Libya, before they cross to Spain, they have a small enclave there. Lots of Nigerians living in open camp. Peter, I don't know, it's sad. It's not me. I don't buy the idea of leaving Nigeria for whatever it is. No, I don't subscribe to that. And if you tell me over where you are going to, you don't know. They think they pluck money from trees, or you pick money on the street. It's not like that.
For people like this, I may sympathize with their situation, but I really
I sympathize with their situation, but
I have no pity for them.
It's not the alternative.
Because
it's not the best
greed,
in the world.
Their actions are defined by greed,
and not by the lack of payment of salaries.
It has nothing to do with the prevailing situation.
Some of them sell their property, their parents' properties, to travel out. Money that can be used to, you invest the money here in this country and you become.
But what about those who are running because of war? I mean, most of the time the international communities have re-emphasized that the reason most of these people travel is because of poverty.
It's not peculiar to this part of
poverty
the world.
And war and crisis.
Yes, in Nigeria, you can't attribute issue of war and poverty per se to those who seek refuge in other countries illegally, using the very most dangerous part. There's nothing wrong in traveling abroad or somewhere else for greener pasture. But when you decide to take the most difficult and dangerous terrain, you cause that to yourself. Why, it's so ironic that during the slavery era we're running away from going abroad, but today we are subjecting ourselves, even presenting ourselves.
So have we asked ourselves why do people travel more and even more so illegally?
Yes,
okay.
It's greener pasture, of course. A lot of them want greener pasture. They think
what are they running away from?
Of course, poverty is one of the reasons. But if you look at the risk that is involved in this kind of trips, you would rather stay back home and think of what to do, because we have so many things that you can do. And even when you travel abroad, you don't pick monies from the streets. So if you don't even have a reasonable thing you're doing there, if you succeed, for instance, I mean, you don't just get there and get rich. You must work. So you can also put in that energy where you are in the country and be meaningful and help yourself and avoid the risk that is involved. I was talking to somebody and the person told me, look, I'd rather die in the sea than stay back here. So we need to sensitize our people. Our people need to know that it's not about that. And the smugglers are very wicked. They don't care. They collect monies and push you into a boat that is inflated, rubber boats, and then push you there. It's no longer their business what happens to you. And like Bauer said, a lot of times we don't even know the numbers of people that perish in the sea there. So some of this data we are getting, I mean, it's not even half of the real things. Sometimes the people drown and they don't even find anybody, so you can't even account for
the
them.
The reason why I've raised the issue about why people travel is because as I speak to you, a lot of my friends have left Nigeria legally to other countries. Very intelligent, the best that I have known are leaving, and thousands of Nigerians are leaving for countries like Canada currently on the skilled migration program. This is bad for our country. We're losing what we have because our politicians probably have not been able to put things in order. We've just talked about the Paris Club refund and how the governors have gotten the president angry for lack of payments of salaries. These are some of the issues, and clearly all these friends of mine have also stated that they're leaving because the country is too hard for them. I know it's not an excuse.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you to some extent. If our environment was a little favorable, I think a lot of people would also want to stay. But the situation where people finish school, they can't get jobs, and apart from getting jobs, the environment does not give room for them to start their own businesses. And the infrastructure is poor. There are no roads, water. You can't. I mean, because of light, you barely can do a successful business of your own. It's a total of everything.
Yeah.
So
we can't run away from our problems to other nations or countries who actually contributed, sacrificed to make their nations great. You understand? There's no country in this world that is devoid of hardship. There's no greener pasture anywhere. You can create your own green pasture anywhere you find yourself, provided you are able to utilize your intellect. We will definitely blame our leaders. Also, we should also begin to blame ourselves. We allow this to happen because we look away from the realities on ground. When we begin to ask critical questions, when we begin to put our leaders on their toes, you definitely see that things will work out well. Yesterday, we argued passionately about what the president should do. These are issues that need urgent attention. When funds for development, for infrastructural development, for human capital development are appropriated, they should be utilized. If the National Assembly decide to write and begin to do their oversight function without just sitting in the hollow chamber and debating, they should, when they begin to go from project side to project side, from ministry, from agency to agency, asking critical questions, all these things we're talking about will fizzle out. People are rushing out because they thought there's a better life outside there. I'm sorry, there's no free meal anywhere in the world. I was in the US recently and I saw how people, both the white, the blacks, everyone is passionately involved in doing something. And the tragedy of the realities is that when you go there, when you expect that you're going to work in an office or a corporate organization, I'm sorry,
That's what I wanted to ask you. You have been in the States.
Yes.
Barrister Bauer schooled in the United Kingdom. I don't know whether Ikeke traveled before, but obviously you came back to Nigeria. Why didn't you stay? Would you want to stay back in the United States?
Definitely there were opportunities for me to stay behind, but I don't think I'll survive better in US when I have my country. You know, self-worth should define your ambition. There are opportunities there, quite all right, but the value you have there, you cannot get it there. Because whether you like it or not, there's no place like home. If we decide to sit back and do the needful, do the right things, this country will move forward. And doing these right things we're talking about must not be that we should all be in government. When we begin to ask questions, when we begin to monitor budgetary allocation, when we begin to call for implementation of budgetary provisions, you will discover that this country will be better off.
Vice Idris?
No, for me, in fact, immediately I finished my studies, I got opportunity of staying back, but I said no, my value will be added more here, because over there they don't lack anything anymore. So there's nothing you can do to improve their work there. But here, there are a lot of things to be done, and I'm home, and I think I'm better off for it. Give me all the monies in this world, I would prefer to remain here.
And even those that have enjoyed scholarships by the federal government.
I went on scholarship.
Well, but many of your mates didn't come back. I'm sure quite a number didn't want to come, because the federal government spends money, sends them out, they come back and they go back there to live.
No, some of my friends majority of my friends that didn't come back were not even on scholarship. The parents saw them through school.
We'll open up the phone lines very quickly because of time, and then we'll in between we'll let you talk. Call us up on 081 89 99 1011. Hello. The phone line should not do this to us. We don't want to leave this country because we have poor network. We will remain here till this network works. Hello?
Hello. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, welcome to X-Ray. Please put off your radio set.
My name is Naziro.
You're welcome to the program.
Like someone like me, I have too hard work, but I don't have anything to do. What are you doing? If I work, this is very bad for this country. People don't be talking about this.
Thank you for your contribution. I think you just expressed how things are really bad, and it's just normal that he complains about that. Go ahead and call us up. I know there were a lot of numbers that have been calling during the course of our discussion. Hello? Good morning and welcome to X-Ray. Go ahead.
I have all the way between my sometimes I think it's bad. You know the security issues you have in Abuja. All these kind of things are number which you can be available. You move and move for me to hear that in the road in my talking to this car, you see the real talking to this car, you see the cars and the other. I don't understand what is really happening. All the attention is on the to this car. You know, the students happening. Yes, life in Abuja. Everything to me is what I want to do. It's perfect. So, and then after the issue of our movement of I think I have with my whatever situation I get to me in my own child, I'm going to take you in a normal plan. But I'm never actually going to look you up. We know that our leader has failed. Understand? This won't collect the money, the next thing they do, every I'm doing the things abroad to go and take care of themselves and their family, the big mansions and what have you over there. They don't care what happens to the rest of the world. So then, that's what we have to do for us about our that they go over to our place and become slaves. Let us face struggle for what we can eat, and I feel God will answer our prayer.
Amen. Thank you, and God bless you for that contribution. He's really disturbed about the issue of the rape within the city center and all of that. And I mean, we're not even talking about the IDPs now. Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning, and welcome to X-Ray.
Thank you. My name is Emmanuel, official president.
Go ahead, Mr. Emmanuel. Welcome.
Thank you. My greetings to your guest, and I want to salute the courage of Nigerians that who come out to tell us the dirty truth, what we are actually going through. Talk about the Paris Club reform. I think it's high time they use Kogi governor as an example. Because what they use the first money given to him today, nobody can give account of it today, even himself. So if this Paris Club reform is given to them and they cannot make good use of it, and they said is languishing in abject poverty, most of the government in Nigeria can no longer pay salaries for the salaries of their workers. What are they there for? And they have the mind to go to even walk down to Aston Rock and be demanding for Paris reform. It's a very shameful thing. None of them is thinking of internally generated revenue anymore. They don't think of what they can do to raise money within their state. Rather, they believe in what they can come to Abuja and collect and squander it to their girlfriends and all of that in abroad. It's very shameful. We don't have leaders. Finally, on the issue of this IDPs that they rape Muslim girls and all of that, I think it's high time security is not spread around the IDPs so that they can have proper security and nobody can. Even some of these security men that are given to them, some of them will make the IDPs. It's not very funny at all. I mean, it's a very shameful thing on our part. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel, the future president. Let's also not encourage the mentality to make people think that governors spend these monies on their girlfriends, in quotes, because we don't know all these things. Let's not say what we're not sure of, okay? Let's go to another line. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. First female caller on the show. You're welcome.
Thank you. My name is Titu. I'm calling from Appleside.
Please go ahead.
Okay. We're saying about, we keep saying that people should not go, but people will continuously move out in their dreams. Because it's not just about poverty, it's so difficult to even do business here. Very difficult. So there are so many things involved. And whether we like it or not, there are people who have gone out and are doing better than they will ever do here. So it's not just about looking at it that people should not go. People don't find what to keep them. You can make anywhere your home in the real sense of it. Just travel there and make it your home and make it comfortable. Because if this place cannot give you what you want, then definitely you go out to look for greener pastures. I like this country. I love to be here. But recently, I've been having second thoughts. And I'm like, if we really want it, there's so many things. Security, a lot of people cannot sleep with their twice kids. A lot of issues, so many issues. So, who do you want to have your feet outside? So I really pray that things get better in this country for the youth not to go out. And you made a valid point that manpower, intellectual power, my mates, I know a lot of them have moved out. And we're living seriously in that regard. But people are not looking at it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The last one that left is a medical doctor, very intelligent man.
I'm not talking about living, but the risk involved in the way they live is what is not good. If you want to travel, fly to wherever you want to go to. You have your papers and all of that, that is fine. But taking that risk of going through desert, spending over 3 months, some 1 year on the road with babies, is risky.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to X-Ray.
This Adams calling from Sullivan.
Good to have you, Adams. Go ahead.
The issue now is that Nigeria, we are very hardworking people. So the environment we find ourselves, and especially our leaders, we don't make that environment conducive for us to live, to get our protection. That is why we find that people have that view of going outside. And the opportunity are down. Even though the risk is rough, people don't look at the risk. Even in Nigeria, you take a lot of risk. But at the end of the day, even the risk you are taking, those who see it working out. So if you go out there, when you make that risk, and because everybody is having a way of having a good life, and that is where the essence of life. Understand? So when people go out there and they find that they take that risk, they at the end of the day, the risk they took, live a better life. They don't tell themselves, man, guys, it's happening here, come around. Because I know some of my friends, they said that they were all these years together. It's not that, but today, living in big church, in a village. So one, it's such a scenario, is that I will be encouraged to go, no matter the risk that you go. Because I don't feel any bad, and can you accept to the new class in this country you have. So those are ways the government can make this conducive for us here. We need to stay at home. But when stay at home is not working out, you find another option. Because these are the best options here. That's why you find that going outside is the best option for others to do and make their money.
All right. Thank you so much. I hope you know that in Venezuela, it is a lot harder to live in that city, those cities in Venezuela, than it is in Nigeria when it comes to economic conditions. But they have not moved out of their countries. They are fighting a solution for their country to get better. I think we're missing something here, aren't we?
Yeah, our value as a people is what we're missing. We have this projection that the other side of the world is always better off than our own. It's inherent in all of us. That is why we make money. Our first point of destination, holiday destination, it's abroad. You know, it's we have more opportunities here, but we look outward. I'll tell you the sad thing about us. People, after their first degree, they gather money to travel to UK, to Canada, to US for further studies. And upon instead of waiting there after completing their studies to get a job and work there, they may not even get their jobs. So what they do is to return back to Nigeria and begin to work again, starting maybe looking for a job that pay you like 150,000. Do the calculation. How long will it take you to earn 150,000 to recover like 50 million that you spent in another country seeking for further studies? We carry, we gather our money and engage in capital flight and come back to begin to lament. The issue we're talking about is that you have your right to travel abroad to garner opportunities. But if you have to do that, use the legitimate and very comfortable route. Do not risk your life by taking the happier way. The way that you meet horrible things on the way. You have to cross the Red Sea to get to Libya before you continue to get to Spain.
You're not even talking about the desert.
Yeah, no, you have to pass the desert to get to Libya. So why do you have to subject yourself because you're running away from the hardship in your country? Your country has no desert. Even Maiduguri that we talk about being a dry land, there are still green plants in Maiduguri. But you are looking for greener pasture by passing through a desert land to get to another place. Does that make sense? Until our values
you go and pass
refined.
a country that is facing war, not knowing that the war in that country is worse.
You don't even have a war in your country.
Yeah, for me, on the issue of education, there's nothing stopping somebody to go and study outside and coming back. I think that is...
And also tourism.
Yeah, no, the what is bad about it is our educational system is becoming something else that you don't even know how to describe. If I tell you my first experience in my class, you will be amazed. A case that was decided maybe like yesterday, my lecturer brought the case and we started analyzing that case. It will never happen in Nigeria. So the experience you gain from that side, you come back home and utilize it, I think is better. Until we wake up to make our education effective, people will still be going out. Even Ghana here, people have started going to Ghana.
And Ghana has started coming to advertise their schools.
Yes, the level of strike and all of that are things that are not making our educational system functional. Like I keep describing, you have 4 different learning styles. convergers, assigners, divergers, and assimilators. These 4 different styles are being used outside there. But here in Nigeria, it's garbage in, garbage out. So it's sad.
Okay.
You know, it's unfortunate what is happening. People are being emboldened to take these steps even when they know the risk that is involved. They put their children, their wives, their brothers and their sisters. And then we have also issues of children being arriving without parents, arriving without nobody. So I don't know, is it that they put children or their parents died along the way? So it's a whole risk that is involved. But I think that going forward, we should begin to look inwards and think of what we can do. The issue of patriotism too is very key. Of course, it's dangerous. I mean, it's not very easy to feel like being patriotic in a nation where every day you see very difficult headlines, killings, rapes, poverty and all that. But I think we should consciously begin to think inwards and say, look, this is us. We can develop ourselves. We can make our lives better. And it is not worth dying for. You can be in your country and be a first-class citizen. You can't be that in another place. So you can do better. You can make all the monies you want to make, even right here. So you be patient and take the right steps and do the right things. And we're calling on our government to ensure that infrastructural development is key. Capacity building is very key. So that's what we need to do. And our leaders have to be held accountable. Let's also follow the money and ensure that monies budgeted are used for the purpose for which they need to.
We've eaten deep into the next hour. We'd like to say you will join us tomorrow. Tomorrow is a more domestic topic, and it's usually interesting on Saturdays as well. We will live in this country and we will change this country. Now here we would die, according to one of my friends. Stay with Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. Don't forget, it's X-Ray. See you on the other side.